Okay, guys, so we're going to analyze this because this one's actually a lot more complicated than I initially thought, and a lot of people tend to think because there's a huge debate right now on if this woman actually hit the ICE agent with her car or not. Now, at first, I thought that she did hit him with the car. Then I made a short a couple days ago saying, oh, wait, no, she didn't, and therefore the ICE agent's in the wrong. And I now deleted that short, and I apologize because I did give a bit of misinformation in that short because I interpreted things wrong. But now, we are going to analyze things frame by frame and figure this out because I have a few points that I haven't heard anyone else mention. Now, before I even start, I did have a minor theory that even if she hit him, she didn't actually hit him. Now let me explain what I mean by that. Because I thought for a brief second that maybe he shot first, and then because her dead body slammed on the gas pedal, it then, after she was already dead, is when the car sped forward and quote-unquote hit him. And that could be where people are getting confused here, which is that she hit him, but not until after being shot, and is therefore completely invalidated because it was her dead body that slammed on the gas pedal. But let's go ahead and figure it out frame by frame. First thing we got to talk about is it a body cam? No. A lot of people are saying it's his body cam footage. There is no body cam. He's actually filming the whole thing with his cell phone in his right hand. That's the first thing we got to talk about. Next, let's go through this video. I should probably explain. The video you are looking at right now is, in fact, his cell phone video. You can see him right here in the reflection of her car. This is the ICE agent who killed her. So she said, "That's okay, dude. I'm not mad at you." Okay. Now, before we continue analyzing, let's talk about her for a second. What do we know about her? Well, we know that she is an agitator. That's without question. This woman apparently is known for going to different kinds of scenarios like this and trying to actively cause problems. She literally parked her car sideways for the purposes of blocking them. She is 100% an agitator. So, did she commit crimes? Well, she's obstructing traffic. She was resisting the officers. She was being a nuisance. So, should she have been arrested and charged with a crime? Yeah, probably. But again, that's not what we're talking about. A lot of people are bringing up factors that are simply not factors in this case, such as, well, she hit him, but wasn't on purpose, or did she commit a crime? Like, these are questions that are like, they have relevancy to the case, but not relevancy to the debate. What we are here to debate is, did she hit him and therefore deserve for him to retaliate in self-defense? So everything like her committing a crime is irrelevant to that. Her being an agitator is irrelevant to that. Okay? So we need to make sure that we don't connect points together that don't belong together. So we got the ICE agent right here. Visibly see him in the reflection. His left hand is empty, and his right hand is holding his cell phone. Goes behind the car to get her license plate.
We change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen, former
Okay, at this point, we see his left hand. He is now taking his phone into his left hand. We can interpret this as, well, his arm's just getting tired. People, when they film, they do switch hands. That's very normal. Even your hand gets tired. Or the much worse answer, which is that he switched the phone to his left hand so that he could grab his gun with his right hand. Now, this is actually very, very, very important, because if he did, in fact, switch his phone to his left hand for the purposes of reaching for his gun, this kind of shows intent. I mean, I suppose there's a small argument for self-defense, but I don't agree. Now, people have pointed out that apparently this same officer was in another case last year where he was also injured in a traffic stop. So you could say pattern recognition, maybe he's preparing for the same thing to happen. It's very difficult. I can't say yes or no. But what I will say is this: even if the gun is in his hand, it doesn't mean he has to fire it. But I will say it does seem like there is some bad intent. The fact that he's already prepping to take his gun out of its holster. But let's continue.
You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
So now we have, at this point, we have another officer trying to get her out of the car. Now this is where she's very obviously committing a crime. It's called resisting. So there's another officer, not the one who shot her, a different guy, coming up to her window and trying to pull her out of the car. It's at this point that she turns her car to the right to get away from both the officer at her window and the officer who is filming, the one who shot her. Okay, right there, very important. She not only turns her car to the right, but she even reverses. This shows very clear intent of trying to get away, but not trying to hit them. But again, the difference between intent and action. Just because she wasn't trying to hit them doesn't mean she didn't. She still may have. So let's figure it out. Again, let's go back. Right there, reversed. Right there, we just saw her turning the wheel to the right. Okay, at this point, he now has his phone in his left hand, and he seems to have kind of like stepped back, causing his phone to kind of like film up, and we can see his face right there. So the phone is right about here underneath his chin. Okay? Okay, now the timing of the gunshots is very important. 3 shots, almost immediate. And at this point, my theory in the beginning is not right, because it's actually at this point right now that her body slams on the gas, which means that it's after the shots, not before or during. And then, of course, her car slams forward. Now, we need to look at more angles. Let's try a different one. So this one here... Okay, it's very, very hard to see. So we see where the shot came. Let's take another look. Okay, so right here, she's backed up. We can see the officer right here. His 2 feet do slide back a little bit, but again, we can't know if that's the force of the car or just him literally taking a step back to avoid the car. Personally, here's what I think is happening. I think he's got his hands kind of on the car, and when she starts turning, it slides him back a little bit. But she's not actually hitting him, and that's what's important to note here. So now, we got his right leg pushed back a little bit. Now, he's shot at this point. Now, it's important to note, somebody even left a comment on this video that I was looking at, and it says this. It's one of the policies on force. Firearms may not be discharged solely to disable a moving vehicle. So, it's important to note it was actually this officer who deliberately walked in front of the car. We see him literally go from the right side of the car to the left side. He's on the left side. He chose to walk in front of the car, but then considers the car to be a device used as a deadly weapon, despite the fact that he walked in front of the car. And it's even in their policy that they cannot use a firearm to disable a moving vehicle. So, with that being said, it may not be considered self-defense because they're not allowed to use their gun for this purpose. Specifically, firearms may not be discharged at a moving vehicle unless 1. A person in the vehicle is threatening the officer or another person with deadly force by means other than the vehicle. So, unfortunately, that doesn't apply. Or 2, the vehicle is operated in a manner that threatens to cause death or serious physical injury. So again, this doesn't apply because she literally turns her car to the right. He did have time to move out of the way, and it does appear that she moved the car just enough to barely graze him. I do not think she hit him, and certainly didn't intend to. But again, we're not talking about intention here, we're talking about what actually happened. And no other objectively reasonable means of defense appear to exist, which includes moving out of the path of the vehicle. Also, placing oneself in the path of a moving vehicle, which is what he did, constitutes officer-created jeopardy and undermines any claim that deadly force was necessary. So, with that being said, he appears to be in the wrong. What we need to do now is take a look at one more angle from behind. So this right here is the officer at the window, not the one who shot. You can clearly see her reverse lights are on in the back of her car, so she's reversing. Wheel turn to the left in order to, that's how you back up. At this point, we can see the ICE officer who shot right about here in front of this officer. She is now in the process of, she's in drive now. She is turning her wheel to the right now to avoid both of them. Right there, did you see that? It's really hard to see, but it's at this point he pulls the gun out. So this, in my opinion, confirms everything. He did, in fact, shoot to kill, and it was not self-defense. Before her car even started moving forward. At this point, she's still turning. She hasn't even pressed on the gas to actually drive forward yet, and he's already pulled the gun out. Do you need to see it again? Watch carefully. Watch. Watch very carefully. There. Right there, he pulled the gun out. I do think her car actually moved forward a tiny little bit. Hang on, one more time. Car is backing up. We are now in drive. Okay, I just saw the back tire spin a little bit. So she drove for about maybe 1 full second, and he's now reaching for the gun. So this is very difficult because of the timing. She drove forward for like 1 second, and he immediately pulled the gun out. So, yes, he did view himself as being driven towards, but if we look at it in a literal sense, he wasn't, because she was turning away, and he had time to pull back. I mean, if he had time to pull out his gun, he certainly had time to take one quick step back, right? And again, another thing we have to note that people aren't recognizing is the mindset, right? Every decision is done within a split second. You could say, "Oh, well, he was wrong to pull his gun out that quickly," or she was only driving forward for like 1 second. That's not enough time to determine that she was trying to hit him. But everything that is happening has to be made in a split-second decision. Just because he was wrong that she was trying to hit him, or just because he was wrong to take his gun out right away, doesn't necessarily mean that the entire situation is wrong. He has a split second to be like, fuck, do I step back? Do I pull the gun out? What do I do, right? Everything is very, very quick. But even outside of that, I still think he's not following proper protocol in his training. And there is one more thing we need to take a look at that, again, a lot of people are not paying attention to. It appears right here at the end of his cell phone video. Take a look. Listen carefully. The officer actually calls her a fucking bitch. So, I'm sorry, but as far as I'm concerned, that shows intention to kill. I don't think she hit him. I think she almost did, and he probably had reason to believe that she was trying to, but she wasn't actually trying to, and she didn't. He had time to move away, he had time to pull his gun out, and he even called her a fucking bitch, which, as far as I'm concerned, shows intention to kill, or at least a complete disregard for her life. He shot 3 bullets into her car while standing off to the side, one of them hitting her in the face. 3 bullets? That's not trying to stop and arrest someone who committed the crime. That's murder. But anyway, that's the full analysis I can give you. Let me know what you all think. I'm now in the camp that this is murder and neglect, but for a very stupid reason. But let me know what you think. Bye.